Hey traders, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. If you guys are new, I'm a professional trader. I'm also a trading coach over at tier1trading.com, and this is a podcast where I share my thoughts, I share my views, I share my journey of how I went from a consistently struggling trader to a consistently profitable trader, and now someone who helps other traders achieve the same goal. I got an email. I want to start off by telling you about a cool email I got from a trader who is a listener to the podcast. His name is Jake. He said, I have stumbled across your podcast this weekend and I'm about 10 episodes in. So in my last podcast, I challenged you guys to take the 10 episode challenge. Jake has accepted the challenge and he says, I absolutely love it. Your experiences and the motivation that you give about trading are exactly what I need. And the words that you speak, the stories that you share are exactly what I'm going through right now. I'm expecting my first child in February and I'm realizing that I have to take care of my family. I have to think long term. This is real life and in an uncertain world, and I need skills that no one can take away from me. Jobs come and go, but education and skills are forever. If I can get this trading thing down, I can possibly teach my soon-to-be son a skill so that he can have an easier life as well. And that's a consistent theme. First of all, thanks so much for the email, Jake. I'm going to respond as soon as I'm done recording this. But that's always been a big thing for me. It's just, the difference between finding a system. And Jake went on to talk about how he just doesn't want to learn a system. He wants to learn just the skill of trading so that he can evolve. Learning the skill of trading is important because you can always evolve, you can always change, you can always develop that into whatever you want. If you are given a certain system, or for those of you, I always poo-poo signal services, right? If you are someone that takes part in a signal service and you're using that as your only way to trade the markets, what you're doing is you're relying on someone else, right? You don't really have a skill of your own. You are using someone else's skill to benefit. And that's all fun and games, right? It's all good until that person who you're relying on stops. Either they stop the signal service, for some reason, or maybe they just say, hey, I don't feel like doing it. And the question that you want to ask yourself is, what do you do then? And that's what I love about Jake's email. When you learn the skill of trading, not only is it something that you can use and you can grow to really control your own future, but it's something that you can pass down to your children. Right? I've got 2 kids. Who knows if they're going to like trading or not? They may take the trading, they may love it, they may hate it because dad does it and they see what I go through. But at the end of the day, they're going to have a skill to control their finances. They're going to have the skill to invest in the market, and they're going to have a skill that if worst case scenario, they're in a position where they can't get any jobs or anything like that, they're going to have something that they can use to create income. And on the topic of trading skill, I guess that's kind of what I wanted to go into today. I want to share with you a discussion I had in one of our Monday Masterclass sessions about my journey as a trader and how really I've evolved my trading skills over time. And I've evolved in a way that is probably a little bit different than you'd expect. So check it out. I wanted to start off with sharing with you guys my trading quote. If you guys follow me on social media, you know that I try to share a trading or inspirational quote every day. And I thought today's was a good one. Today's comes from Brett Steenbarger. And he says, the elite performers generate better ideas because they generate so many ideas. Their hit rate is not necessarily unusually high, but they go to bat so often that they get their share of good pitches and hit their fair share of home runs, knowing that their strength is processing information and generating ideas, not just holding any particular idea. They are willing to toss aside less promising trades and hold out for truly exemplary ones. Now, does that make sense to you guys? A little confusing? And for you guys that are unfamiliar, Brett Steenbarger is basically referred to as the #1 trading psychologist out there. works with a lot of top firms. He is kind of the man, the guy at the top. Um, but yeah, I love this quote because it kind of reflects what really reflects how the changes I made in my trading journey. And it's going to seem a little hypocritical at first, um, because as newer traders, what do I always advise you guys to do? How many strategies do I say start with? Yeah, just one strategy. And I say that from an educational standpoint, right? Because think about it like this. If you think of a strategy as essentially learning a skill, right? Strategy is learning a skill, essentially. What is the quickest way to learn that skill? Is it to learn a single skill at a time, or is it to try and work on 15 different skills at the same time? Who's going to learn quicker and more efficiently, I should say? Who's going to learn better? The person learning the single skill, right? You focus all your energy on a single skill, you practice it. The more time you practice doing the right thing, the quicker you become successful, right? And then after you become successful, I always advise adding more and more skills. And that's the really the path that I took in my trading journey. At first, I started trying to learn everything and I learned nothing. And really, when I got focused and turned my trading around, right after that dark, dark moment, I started focusing on one at a time and eventually got to the point where I'm at now, where I trade, who knows how many different ways. Um, but I've always said this, right? When I first started off, do you think I was started off on the right track, not the bad blowing money Akil? Do you think I was a more conservative or aggressive trader? I was very conservative, right? I was so scared, right? I had spent so many years losing money that I needed everything in the world to line up in order to take a trade, right? I needed a CTS a million. I was very conservative in my approach. And I was conservative for a reason because, again, previously when I was consistently losing money, I was very aggressive. I was entering trades too quickly and doing all of that stuff. So I really wanted to make sure that, I had the right signal, the right place to trade the market, the right amount of confirmation. So I was very conservative. And over the years, right, I've become really less conservative and more aggressive. But here's the weird thing, right? I've become more aggressive, um, yet more conservative at the same time. Now, is anybody wondering how that's possible? How can you become more aggressive and conservative at the same time? Oxymoron, right? George says confidence. Confidence is key. You know when to pick your spots with experience. You pick out quality trades. Yeah, here's what I've done, right? So I've added more tools to my arsenal, right? I have many ways I can attack the market: pattern trades, advanced pattern trades, simple pattern trades, trend continuation, counter trend, right? You name it, right? So I have many different ways that I can attack the market. And just from the nature of me being seasoned in the market for many years, I've become more aggressive with how I get involved in trades. Instead of waiting for double bottoms with RSI overbought and diversions, then 2618 and doji candle and whatever you need to enter, right? I can enter much more aggressively, say off a two stick candlestick combination. So I've become more aggressive with how I get involved in trades. However, I've become less aggressive with the trades I take, right? So my entries have become more aggressive. The trades I choose to take have become more conservative. And what that essentially means is that I'm very picky with with when I decide to execute a trade. But when I see a trade that meets those rules, I don't wait. I make sure to get involved. So I'm really looking for what I consider to be the best of the best opportunities.
I'm sitting back, I'm letting the okay opportunities pass by. But when I see the best opportunities, I'm fully aggressive at entering them. And typically, when you see someone become more conservative, more picky with the opportunities that they look for, you would assume that they're taking a lot less trades, especially if you only have a single strategy. But something that helps is when you have multiple ways to enter the market, right? When you have, again, the elite performers generate better ideas because they generate so many ideas. When you have more ways of being involved in the market, you don't really miss out on those best of the best opportunities because you have so many tactics in which you can approach it. So it's interesting doing this little reflection on my trading journey because that's really kind of the path that I've taken. And I get questioned all the time, hey, have you gotten more aggressive and conservative? And whenever I think about it, it's like, well, I guess both. I guess both. And I think that a lot of you guys are going to do that too. I see a lot of you guys on the chat, and many of you are trading everything. There are some traders that are just trading everything out there, and there are other traders that are trading nothing. They need a lot to line up. And it's going to be cool as you see yourself kind of evolve and as you start to figure out yourself and as you start to figure out your trading style. So I thought it was a cool little quote. It speaks right to me. Um, so I always like to that's how I start off my day, guys. Every day.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the show. As always, if you did, please let me know. Shoot me a comment, shoot me a message on social media. I'm on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just tell me, hey, Akil, I like this podcast. I love what you're doing. That always motivates me. It always inspires me to keep going and keep producing these shows for you 3 times a week. Also, get out there and share the message with another trader. Say, hey, I got this podcast that I think you should listen to. Give it a try. Challenge them to listen to to take the 10 episode challenge. And hopefully we'll gain ourselves some more viewers and more traders that have their mind on the right side of the markets, that have a realistic view of what trading is, and we can start putting the rest, all of that fluffy pink unicorn and rainbows and junk that's out there about how it's a get rich quick scheme. So you do that for me. I'll be back with another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. Thank you as always for listening, and until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.